Now, nurseries in England say plans to allow staff to look after more children will not cut costs for parents. The government says it's considering changing the current rules in a bid to help lower the cost of childcare for families amid the growing cost of living crisis. Our education editor, Branwen Jeffries, reports.
Oh, thank you so much.
Ashley has 4 children, including her new baby. It's 2-year-old Reggie she worries about most. He has extreme allergic reactions. Ashley trusts the nursery to watch him carefully.
You just kind of need to have someone else take the lead for a little bit.
Would you be happy with there being more children per adult?
Probably not, no. I mean, the severity of Reggie. So, a normal child, absolutely. You know, it's such a massive responsibility to just do that for Reggie. And to have loads more children, I don't know, I think it's too much. You found one, well done!
This nursery in Nottingham is facing rising bills. From wages to heating, everything is going up. And now they're looking after toddlers born in lockdown.
A lot of nurseries say that coming out of the pandemic, they don't want to have more children for each member of staff because they've missed out on so much, and quite a lot of children are needing extra help with their social skills and with their speech and language. Oh, thank you.
More children are starting school a bit behind, according to new research this week. And Rachel, the owner, tells me even if the rules changed, they don't want staff looking after more children.
For the children at the moment that we've got now, they need more support than ever in getting up their development back to where it needs to be. We're seeing a rise in safeguarding needs. If anything, we need more adults to children at this time, not less.
She worries it could mean the money for government-funded hours being frozen.
It just feels like, oh, we need to cut budget somewhere, and early years is where that cut's going to be.
In England, for 2-year-olds, there has to be 1 member of staff for 4 children. Many other countries, including Scotland, allow bigger numbers. And that's why the government says it will consult on changes. Ministers say it could help bring down the cost of childcare.
And you get...
Down the road on the edge of Nottingham, parents rush to drop off. For working families with children under 3, it can be a big bill.
See you later, love you!
We've got Savannah in and we're just about to put our baby in as well, and it's more than our mortgage. It's a really hard decision to go back to work after my second one.
I feel for those that perhaps aren't in the luxury of having a flexible job, working from home, who have to go out to work, who can't afford to put their children in childcare.
It's a big part of our outgoings, and we have to juggle selling Albert at the nursery or Joe going to work or stopping at home, and if we have a holiday or not.
Should we get you a chair? Have some breakfast?
For babies and toddlers up to 2, it's 1 adult to 3 children. This is when the cost is greatest for parents, and childcare staff like Hannah have their hands full.
Sometimes we have points where one child needs a nappy change, one child needs to go to bed, another child needs a bottle, and doing all of them things all at the same time can become so difficult and very overwhelming.
So before they consult on plans for England, the government is looking at Scotland, France and elsewhere, with firm proposals expected in the coming months. Branwen Jeffries, BBC News, Nottingham.
And joining me now are Neil Leach, the CEO of the Early Years Alliance, and also Jenny Bailey, owner of Spratt and Winkle Nursery in Hampshire. Neil and Jenny, welcome to both of you. Thanks for your time today. Neil, first of all, you've described these proposals as hideous. Why?
Because they are. I mean, I said earlier on today, actually, that these are proposals that seem to be put forward by people who have no understanding whatsoever of the early years sector. And they're doing it at the time when actually children are suffering. You have, at the very same time as this particular proposal was leaked from Number 10, you have Her Majesty's Chief Inspector, Amanda Spielman, going on the air and saying, young children's development has stalled. They need more care. They need more support. You also have a situation where the government knows we have a recruitment and retention crisis in early years that we have never witnessed before. I've been around early years for nearly 20 years. I will tell you, I've never seen anything like it. We have people walking out the door, leaving in droves because they are under pressure. They are exhausted, they are tired, and they're undervalued. Why would anyone with any common sense talk about making their workload tougher at this point in time? And why would you deprive children who need more support of the ability to get it? That to me is hideous.
Let me bring in Jenny now. Jenny, morning to you. So in Scotland currently, in early years settings, one adult can look after 5 children. In England, it's 1 adult to 4 children. Do you think it would make a huge difference if that ratio was increased in England?
It would. But I also think that if you think about childminders, that the regulations in Scotland say that over 8s have to be counted in that number. And therefore, once that comes into play, you will lose even more childminders because their income for their places will be curtailed by their older children, who currently they don't have to count as long as they can prove that they are providing adequate care. So yet again, you're cutting people's earning potential and they will leave the sector.
Now, the government says it's looking to help families in the cost of living crisis. The IFS says almost a quarter of families with a household income of between £20,000 and £30,000 a year spend more than 17% of their pre-tax income on childcare. Would this proposal, if it goes ahead, help reduce costs for parents?
Absolutely not. My staff are already really underpaid. We have huge difficulties affording the administration time, which is not accounted for in the money that we are allocated. We have to find funds for training those staff. And if any more money were to come in, that's where it would go. But actually, I think the majority of us would choose not to increase our ratios due to the fact that we are seeing such a high proportion of children coming in with additional needs, that we would be using that funding to try to help to pay for the time that we need to do all the paperwork to get those children some help and support. Because currently, when they come in early years, there isn't any provision for them.
So even if the ratio went up, you wouldn't be adopting that practice. That's really interesting to hear, Jenny. Neil, back to you. I know that you've done a survey at Early Years Alliance. You've talked to staff. I believe you've talked to parents as well. And what have they said to you about these ideas?
Again, they agree with our position that first of all, that it will not put money back into parents' pockets. The way to do that is government to actually support parents and stop, and I use this word sparingly, but cheating them of a position. Government knows that they underfund the so-called free entitlement. It's their words, not ours. They know that it would cost an additional £2 billion to adequately fund this system. And after 2.5 years of battle of trying to get them to show how they computed that figure, they actually stated that because they were short funding the sector, they accepted that prices to parents who do not get this free entitlement would go up by up to 30%. So they know where the problem is. Tinkering around with ratios will do absolutely nothing. They know that children need more support, and they know that we are losing people. So you have to invest.
Jenny, let me just bring you in for a final thought on all of this. The parents who use your nursery, what have they said to you about this plan? Have they been talking about this much? Is it a concern for them? And even though everyone's finances obviously are very stretched, is it vital to them that when their child is dropped off at your nursery or at any nursery, any early years setting, that they know that there's just a small number of children being looked after by one person?
We are a risk-taking setting as well, and as we all know, that resilience and risk-taking and school readiness and independence has been lacking due to the pandemic that we have been through. It would mean that we would be absolutely strapped to offer children those opportunities, and my parents especially support us wholeheartedly in the sort of setting that we have, where we are allowing children to take those risks and learn to judge things for themselves. And I believe that they fully support us in not increasing ratios.
OK, well, Jenny and Neil, really good to get your thoughts on all of this today. Jenny Bailey, owner of the Spratt and Winkle Nursery in Hampshire, and Neil Leach, CEO of the Early Years Alliance. Thank you both very much.